Shalom Israel, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, right? Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, which the world called God, and Yahweh Shai being in the name of the begotten Son, who we call Jesus Christ, right? So, this lesson here, these other nations are going to be in captivity, man, right? There's the nations of people who had the Israelites in captivity, right? The Israelites is the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who've been in captivity and scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, right? So we're going to get some of those accounts real quick, and then we're going to go to the destruction of these other nations, man, right? So let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 24. We're going to get that account, right? This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. Right? So it's talking about the Israelites, right? We fell by the sword, right? We didn't keep the Father's commandments. We got led to these other nations, right? That's exactly what happened to us. In Jerusalem, right, which is the Israelites, shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. Right? The Gentiles again is these other nations of people, a non-Israel. That's what Gentile mean. A non-Israelite, right? And if you got a Bible compact dictionary, you can read that in there, man. Gentile literally means non-Israelite, right? And I know y'all know that, right? We were led to these other nations, and we went into captivity, right? So we gonna get Jeremiah 17:4. We gonna get the classic, right? This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, right? What happened when we got conquered by these other nations of people and when they scattered us? We lost our heritage, our inheritance, and that's also spoken about in the curses in Deuteronomy 28 and in Psalm chapter 83, verse 2-4, right? They came and cut us off as a nation that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Right? That's exactly what happened to us, man. Right? So again it says, shall discontinue from thine heritage I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. That's exactly what happened to us. We after we went into captivity, we could not keep the customs that the Most High gave us, right? When we was in hardcore bondage, right? We went to a land we never even knew, because our homeland is Jerusalem, man. Right? We're going to get another account in Ezekiel. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 34 and verse 5. Right? This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 34 and verse 5. And shalom to everybody that's in here, right? And they were scattered because there is no shepherd, and they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. What is the beast that is talking about? The beast is talking about these other nations of people. You could call them Gentiles or you could call them heathen. The same meaning. The other nations of people, a non-Israelite, right? They came and took us and scattered us throughout the world, and now we were serving them, right? We gonna get another precept. This is a classic precept right here in Psalms. We gonna get Psalms chapter 44 and verse 11. This is the book of Psalms chapter 44 and verse 11. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and has scattered us among the heathen. So we know that the heathen is these other nations of people where we were scattered to, right? So now y'all know the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites the Bible speaks of, God's chosen people, and we were in captivity and led to these other nations, right? You had the so-called white man who had us in captivity. You had the Arabs who had us in captivity, the Assyrians, right? You had the Egyptians, the Hamites, the East Indians, the Asians, right? The Chinese, the Japanese, all these nations of people had something to do with our captivity, right? So now let's see what's going to happen to these other nations of people, right? So we're going to go to the book of Obadiah. Let's get Obadiah. Yo, Obadiah, that's one of my favorite books in the Bible too. But we're going to get Obadiah real quick. We're going to get Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, right? The heathen is these other nations, right? As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee, right? So what they did with the Israelites had us in captivity, hardcore bondage, is going to happen to them. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. That's the reward they're going to get, right? Because, hey, all these other nations, right? All nations, yeah, they will be in the kingdom, but they're not going to be living like the Israelites are, right? The Israelites is going to rule forever, man, right? So we going to get another account. We're going to get another classic. We're going to go to Revelation chapter 13 and verse 10. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at verse 9. Right? Because if any heathen nation that's outside of Israel hearing this, I want you to hear this. Watch this. It's the book of Revelation chapter 13 and verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Right? So even y'all other nations, if y'all hearing this, hear this clearly. Watch this. Verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. So these other nations of people had us in captivity. So what's going to happen to them, right? Everything is going to be reversed. They are going to be the ones to be in captivity and being killed by the damn sword, man, for having us in captivity, right? Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. We know the saints is the Israelites, right? A verse real quick. Psalm chapter 148 and verse 14, right? So we know the saints is the Israelites, right? And that's what we patiently wait. We waiting to put these other damn nations in captivity, man, for what they did to us. We patiently waiting for that, man, right? So now let's go to another classic. We're going to go to Isaiah chapter 14. We're going to go to verse 1 and 2. But let's start at verse 1, right? That's the book of Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel, right? We know Jacob's name got changed to Israel, right? You can find that in Genesis chapter 32 and verse 28 or Genesis chapter 35 and verse 10, right? So it says the Most High is going to have mercy on Jacob and choose Israel and set them in their own land. Our land is the Jerusalem. That's our land right here, right? Jerusalem is our homeland, not them damn Jewish people that's over there. They ain't the real Jews. That's not even their land. They stole that from us, right? And that wasn't established until I think either, correct me if I'm wrong, either 1942 or 1948, right? Watch this. And the strangers shall be joined with them. Again, the strangers is these other nations of people, right? And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. So we literally going to take these damn heathen nations and bring them to Jerusalem, which is our homeland, right? And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord. What does possess mean? Possess means to own something, right? How do I know I own this stapler? Right? I bought it. Right? Now it belongs to me, man. Right? So that's what we're going to do with these other damn heathen nations, man. We're going to take them and then we're going to own them. That's exactly what we're going to do with these other nations, right? It says, possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. They're going to be serving us, right? And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So we were their captives, right? Another word for captives is slaves, right? So we were their slaves. Now we're going to take them, possess them, and we're going to make these other nations our slaves for what they did to us. And then we're going to be ruling over our oppressors, right? And it's not only the so-called white man, right? He gonna be one of them. But again, it's all other nations that they had something to do with us, right? You got the white man, you got the Arabs, you got the Chinese, Asians, you got the Egyptians, you got the Hamites, you got the Ethiopians, right? You got the East Indians, you got all these other nations of people who had us in captivity. The Most High created 18 nations of people on earth, and the 17 other nations had the Israelites in captivity. And again, the Israelites is the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who've been in bondage and scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. But then you want to know what's funny? You'll have these heathen nations, right? They be like, well, that wasn't me that did that though. Like that was my ancestors. I didn't do that. Well, guess what? You going into captivity too, and we're gonna find out what it says right here in verse 21, right? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 21. Prepare slaughter, right? Slaughter is being put to death, man, right? Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, right? So their children, the people that descend from these other nations, y'all going into captivity too. That's exactly what, yay, y'all going into captivity too. Because of what your forefathers did to us, that's going to have y'all being put to death, man. Y'all going to be put to death for what y'all forefathers did, right? That they do not rise nor possess the land, right? Y'all not going to be, hey, you got this so-called white man ruling the earth right now. Hey, he not going to be ruling no more. These other nations not going to be able to rise up against the children of Israel, right? So listen, these other nations and their children are going into captivity too, right? All these nations going into captivity, but then now you gotta remember there's one nation of people who's going to be devoured after their captivity, right? They're going to be devoured like they never existed, and we gonna go back to the book of Obadiah to prove that, right? Let's get the book of Obadiah. We gonna get let's get verse 10. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. And you know the book of Obadiah is about the damn so-called white people, right? The Edomites. This whole book of Obadiah is their destruction, their judgment that they're gonna get, right? It says they shall be cut off forever, right? Let's jump down to verse 18, man. Let's jump down to verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. That's what we're going to do with these damn devils, man. We're going to devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. You see that? So after those 1,000 years they be in captivity, they gonna be devoured off the face of the earth like they never existed. It's not gonna be any remaining of them, man. They too damn wicked, man. They're the most hated nation. Out of all the heathen nation, the Most High hates Esau the most, man. Right? Let's see what else. Hey, let's see what else is gonna happen. Right? Let's see. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Right? We're gonna go to chapter 60. The book of Isaiah, chapter 60, right? We're going to go to verse 10, right? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, right? So it's talking about these other nations, right? When we bring all these other nations to our place, they're going to build up the kingdom of heaven. Same way they had us built up all these cities in Babylon, right? All the captivities we was in and beating our backs while we was doing it, right? It's going to happen to them too, right? This is a future prophecy right here in the kingdom of heaven. These other nations are going to be building up the kingdom of heaven, right? And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their king shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, right? For in the Most High's wrath he killed. Most High is going to be killing them, right? You see that? Now let's jump to verse 12, right? So after Esau, right? Now these other nations, after the 1,000 years of their captivity, Esau is going to be devoured and exterminated like they never existed. But the other nations are still going to be here, but it's under a circumstance. We're going to read that in verse 12. Watch this. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee, right? So say we in the kingdom of heaven, right? Heaven now, right? And then you had an Arab man, right? If he does not want to obey us and serve us in the kingdom of heaven, this is what's going to happen, right? So that's just an example, right? It says, for the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yeah, those nations shall be utterly wasted. So if these nations do not want to serve us in the kingdom of heaven, hey, the Most High is going to put them to death. That's exactly what's going to happen. Any other nation, the people that's serving us, that don't want to serve us, they're going to be put to death. That's what's going to happen in the kingdom of heaven. So yes, all people All nations of people will be in the kingdom of heaven, but they won't be living like the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They're going to be slaves. They're going to be slaves in the kingdom of heaven. Right? That's what's going to happen to all y'all damn devils, especially. Right? So all y'all heathen nations, get ready for captivity. Right? Get ready for captivity, man. Right? But with that, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Kwam Yasharallah.